Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of CNB Bazaar Buzz, and you can see behind me is the Arabian Sea. Yeah, we are getting you the Bazaar Buzz stories today right from the middle of the Arabian Sea today. So let's kickstart things with something that is, well, different too, and this is different for our story lineup as well. It's actually Porsche, and it's gone the coupe way with its Cayenne SUV. And it's been recently showcased at the Shanghai Auto Show. So here's a look at what it's all about. If you thought that it was just BMW, Mercedes-Benz and Audi taking claim to the coupe SUV, well, Porsche has just revealed the prettiest of them all, the Cayenne Coupe SUV. In nearly every technical aspect, the coupe is one and the same as the normal Cayenne, but the difference is mostly visual. Identical to the regular Cayenne, only up to the A-pillar, the Cayenne Coupe features a lower, sloping roof that evokes the classic 911 side windows and rear. The tail lights too are positioned at a different angle, and the rear fenders are fatter than on the regular Cayenne. The model also offers two different roof concepts, which includes a panoramic fixed glass roof fitted as standard and an optional carbon fiber roof. Redesigned rear doors and fenders broaden the shoulders of this vehicle by 18mm, contributing to its overall muscular impression. The rear number plate is integrated into the bumper, making the vehicle seem closer to the ground, and of course it gets an adaptive roof spoiler. Now we all know that the Cayenne Turbo was the first SUV to feature this kind of active aerodynamics, and the Cayenne Coupe picks up that ball and runs with it. The roof spoiler is combined with a new adaptive rear spoiler as part of Porsche active aerodynamics. The spoiler extends by 135mm at speeds of 90 km/h and up, increasing the contact pressure on the rear axle while also enhancing efficiency. Inside, the Cayenne Coupe gets an 8-way adjustable sports seats with integrated headrests. There's good enough room at the rear too, but the Cayenne Coupe rear sits 30mm lower than the Cayenne SUV, which provides ample headroom for rear passengers. Under the hood of the Cayenne Coupe will be two high-performance engines. There's the 3-litre 6-cylinder turbocharged engine that delivers 335 brake horsepower and a maximum torque of 450 Nm. With the Sport Chrono package, the car goes from 0 to 100 km/h in just 6 seconds, with the figure dropping to 5.9 seconds with the optional lightweight sports package, while the top speed is rated at 243 km/h. The Cayenne Turbo Coupe gets a 4-litre V8 with twin turbocharging, producing 542 brake horsepower and a maximum torque of 770 Nm. Its top speed is 286 km/h, while 0 to 100 km/h is done in just 3.9 seconds. The new Porsche Cayenne Coupe models are available for order now in the European markets. And given the company's strategy for India, as we saw very recently, we hope to see it here soon too. Well, it certainly looks different, doesn't it? It's all about that nice coupe-like stance, and it does fit the Cayenne pretty well. Now let's move on to something of an exclusive, so to say. Maruti Suzuki had recently launched the 1.5-litre diesel on the Ciaz. And of course, we had to take a look at how it is in terms of performance. It's a big leap from the 1.3-litre multi-jet that it got from Fiat. But the 1.5-litre has certainly more to offer. So here's our exclusive review of the Ciaz diesel.
It is one of the best-selling cars in its class and has been very popular since it arrived. Some tweaks, a change from Arena to Nexa, and then its long-delayed major facelift in August last year. Yes, it's been quite a journey for the Maruti Suzuki Ciaz. Now, at the time of the facelift, the company had brought in a new 1.5-litre petrol engine. Now, it's the turn of the diesel. A brand new 4-cylinder unit that has been developed in-house by Maruti. The new engine puts out 94 bhp and 225 Nm of torque. Also the reason why this engine is being badged DDIS 225. It is mated to a brand new 6-speed manual gearbox too. The DDIS 200 remains on sale for now and still uses the previous 5-speed.
It was always one of the largest cars in its class, and yet it was always sort of on the back foot when it came to not necessarily being the most powerful. I am of course referring here to the diesel variant in particular, because that's where the change has happened. So two reasons why Maruti needed to do this. The first is that obvious reason, try and amp things up a little bit, juice things up a little bit. But the second is also because it's now trying to get ready for the new regulations. It's also trying to get away from its dependence on Fiat for diesel technology, and which is why this engine becomes very crucial.
So yes, the engine is BS6 ready, that's Bharat Stage 6, though for now it has been launched as a BS4 compliant engine. It will need some minor upgrades to switch over in April next year, and that's when the DDIS 200 will also likely be phased out, no doubt. And yes, the Ciaz is the first car to get this new engine, but others are likely to follow.
Now the 1.3 DDIS or the Multijet from Fiat was always an extremely refined engine, and so trying to match up to those levels of refinement is never going to be easy. Having said that, the car does come across as fairly smooth, and yes, it feels a little bit different, though to be honest, the difference is not so perceptible because of course in terms of the actual horsepower, change is only 5. But it's in city traffic, it's in quick gear changes, and then an immediate burst that you're looking for. That's where you do sense a change, because it's not just a number on paper. That extra torque, it's 25 Nm that you get, but it does make the engine feel a little meatier, so the car feels a little bit more ready to go. Is it more electric and punchy? Maybe not, but it certainly doesn't feel wanting anymore, and I think it's the extra torque that's really going to kick in and help you there. It also means less gear changes, and then that's where the other big change is, isn't it? On that gearbox, you now have that 6-speed. It does make things overall come across as a little bit smoother, a little bit more refined.
The engine is noisier than the 1.3 for sure and lacks NVH refinement by comparison too. But the sound damping inside the cabin is pretty good, and you won't find the car noisy to drive then. The DDIS 225 is only being offered with the Delta, Zeta and Alpha variants and not the base Sigma. The DDIS 200 retains all 4 variants for now. Both variants are segment best on mileage, though the 200 has the edge at 28.09 km per litre. The DDIS 225 gets 26.82 km per litre as its claimed mileage, and that's still better than the competition, by the way. Prices for the DDIS 225 start at 9,97,000 rupees for the Delta, go to 11,08,000 rupees for the Zeta and 11,37,000 rupees for the Alpha. So it's a welcome addition and moves the brand in the right direction too. Better drivability for the larger cars will be crucial anyway, especially as the compact SUVs like the S-Cross for example, and also the Corolla-based larger sedan that Maruti will get start to make an appearance in Maruti's showrooms in the near future.
it's time to look at some bikes now after 2 cars. So let's start with the review of the Triumph Street Twin.
The Triumph Street Twin has been the best seller for the company in India and globally too. With the new and updated 2019 Street Twin already launched in India, we figured a good ride was in order to sample the updates. At first glance, you may not see the difference, and well, you would be right too. The overall design on the Street Twin was classy and elegant to begin with, so there wasn't a need to change much. There are a few updates of course. The design of the cast alloy wheels is new too. The Triumph badge on the fuel tank is also new, along with the decals on the side panels as well. The headlamp bracket is also new and is made of brushed aluminium, and the bezel has been blacked out for a more rugged look. Also, the seat is new, gets more padding and is 10 mm higher. The overall silhouette remains the same, but the look of the motorcycle is even classier now. We like how the motorcycle looks, especially in the Korosi Red color our test motorcycle came in. Triumph also offers about 140 accessories for the new 2019 Street Twin, such as the leather saddlebag on a test bike.
The 2019 Street Twin now makes 64 brake horsepower instead of 54 brake horsepower. This is an increase of 18% in power. The peak torque output stays the same at 80 Newton meters, but it's more widespread now. The end result, the engine feels livelier and more peppier when ridden at high revs. You feel the punch as you twist the throttle, and the bike builds up speed very quickly.
There is a marked improvement in the riding characteristics of the new Street Twin. The slip assist clutch makes it easier to work the 5-speed gearbox and get maximum punch out of the motor. Even as you ring the throttle and the revs climb up closer to the red line, the motorcycle doesn't feel breathless and offers a satisfying ride. The 900cc high-torque parallel twin motor has also been updated with lighter components inside, such as crankshaft, balance shafts and the dead shafts. There's a slip assist clutch as well. The 2019 Street Twin also gets updated electronics, including new throttle maps and new riding modes too, which are road and rain, along with ABS and traction control, which were already on offer. The front end gets a 310mm disc gripped by a Brembo 4-piston caliper, and the 220mm disc at the rear gets a Nissan 2-piston floating caliper. Thanks to the updated brakes, the bike now offers better braking with a stronger bite and better progression.
The other significant update on the new Street Twin is the suspension. The front end now gets 41mm cartridge type Kayaba forks, while the rear twin shock absorbers are also new. This translates into a plusher ride quality. Although the handling is not the sharpest, it takes some efforts for you to tip the motorcycle into a corner. Also, the seat on this one is really hard. We would have liked a slightly softer seat in order to be more comfortable when riding in the city.
The 2019 Triumph Street Twin is priced at 7,45,000 rupees, and at that price the kind of performance and quality that you get is perhaps best in class. With the addition of more power, new features and upgraded suspension, the value for money quotient is even higher. In India, it goes up against the Ducati Scrambler Icon and the Harley Davidson Street Rod.
Triumph is certainly getting its A game on in India. And another manufacturer who's putting in more efforts to bring in new bikes is Ducati. And we went to Thailand to ride the new Ducati Scrambler range. Here's Pritam Bora with all the details about the Scrambler range.
The Ducati Scrambler, a brand resurrected from the 1960s in 2014, with a whole new range of neo-retro scramblers. And 4 years later, the Ducati Scrambler gets some minor updates. And these updates are apparently the direct result of customer feedback. The bike looks more or less identical to the outgoing model, but there are some important updates.
The Scrambler Icon was first launched in India 4 years ago. Now 4 years later, it gets some changes. If you look at it, it looks more or less similar to the outgoing model, but there are some changes, some updates to the model, minor cosmetic changes. In the instrument panel, you get a fuel gauge which was missed in the outgoing model, and of course a gear position indicator. But more importantly, it now gets cornering ABS. Engine remains the same, and the suspension has been softened out a bit, so the ride quality is softer, it's more comfortable, goes over bumps very easily. So that's the new Scrambler Icon, the entry-level Ducati, and it's more or less the same engine-wise, but yes, there's been some improvement in this, the Scrambler Icon.
The Scrambler's suspension has been softened, and the seat material has also been changed on the new model. The result is that ride quality has definitely improved over the last generation Scrambler. It's more comfortable, yet it retains the same easy-to-ride, fun personality it always had. Around the corner as well, the Scrambler feels sure-footed and planted. The Desert Sled is the off-road oriented Scrambler, so it gets more suspension travel, higher ground clearance and spoke wheels with a larger 19-inch front wheel.
The difference between the Scrambler Icon and the Scrambler Desert Sled, of course, is this one's more off-road friendly. For starters, it gets longer suspension travel, it gets 200mm suspension travel in the front, and of course a lot of ground clearance also, more than the Scrambler Icon. And of course it gets a larger 19-inch front wheel and spoked wheel, so you can do a fair bit of off-roading. It's not a true blue off-road dirt bike as such, but yes, you can do a fair bit of off-roading on this.
For taking on the rough, it's the Scrambler Desert Sled, which should be the obvious choice. It can take on a fair bit of rough terrain. The Desert Sled is the more entertaining model to ride off-road, and it also gets cornering ABS now.
Now this one's obviously more expensive than the Icon. So who are these Scramblers meant for? If you're the kind of guy who's graduating from a smaller bike and you want to get into motorcycling, you want to get into a V-twin, something like a L-twin format of the Scrambler, this one, the power delivery is not very intimidating, so it's easy on you, it's very easy to handle, not very intimidating. It can cruise at 130, 140 if you are in that kind of mood. But of course, if you want to cover long distances, maybe 400, 500 kilometers a day, the lack of any wind protection will get you after a couple of hours of riding. But overall, if you want to graduate from a smaller bike, the Scrambler Icon makes a very good case. And if you want to start off-roading, this one certainly will make you do a fair bit of soft-roading, I'd say. And even if you're not a beginner, you want to get back into motorcycling after a period of say 10-15 years, you have been riding motorcycles, the Scrambler range certainly makes a very good case for itself. And the Desert Sled, of course, if you want to start off-roading, very good bike to start off-roading.
The 2019 Ducati Scrambler will be launched in India sometimes this month. And with the updates, there is expected to be a minor price increase as well. While the Scrambler Icon is expected to be priced just under 8 lakh rupees, the Desert Sled is expected to cost around 10 lakh rupees. The entry-level Ducati looks retro cool, is easy to ride and definitely a lot of fun. If it's a new Ducati you're looking for with the classic retro touch, by all means check out the new Scrambler. Could be all the bike that you need.
Well, the Scrambler range will be coming to India by April, and we'll have more details on that very soon, so stay tuned for that. For now, that's it for this show, and hope you enjoyed it. We always enjoy
packaging all this stuff up for you and bringing it on CNB Bazaar Buzz, and especially this time around because we are bringing it to you right from the middle of the Arabian Sea. Thank you for watching, and if you have any feedback, do let us know on carandbike.com, or maybe you can find us on our social handles right from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even on YouTube. If you have any questions, do shout out to us and let us know about it. Well, as you know, safety first. So whenever you're driving, always wear your seatbelts, and whenever you're riding, always wear your helmets. See you next time.